Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode of Jet Talk. So I'm still working on the name. Name's kind of corny, a little bit cheesy. I understand that, but this is just what I'm going to use um, to kind of talk about whatever I want to. What's going on outside of esports, or at least outside of Counter Strike in general. All right. So let's see here. This episode, I wanted to talk a lot about, as you can tell from the title, the NFL and all the crazy changes and all the different roster changes, trades, and signings that have gone on recently. So let's go right into that. Um, the most recent thing that just happened as of 7 o'clock Eastern time, Tuesday, the 13th, for anyone watching this. The most recent deal that just happened is the Malcolm Butler trade, or signing to the Titans. 5 years, $61 million. Initial thoughts, initial reactions to that. I think Malcolm Butler is a great player. Maybe not a great player, maybe a good player, and he should definitely go somewhere and go to a good team. I think the Titans are a good fit. I think the Titans are a team that's right on the edge of, they made the playoffs last year. They did well. I believe they lost in the divisional rounds of the Patriots. So I think the Titans are a team that's right there and need some more, and need a little bit more of a push to get over that kind of threshold to start, maybe making championships or playoffs more consistently. But I don't think a 5-year deal is what they needed. I think Malcolm Butler, like I said, is a good addition and is going to help their team, but 5 years and $61 million, he better be good. I don't think it'll work. Personally, I don't think that much money. I don't think Malcolm Butler would be good enough to deserve and command that much money. Sorry, we'll move on. Jimmy Graham to the Packers. This is a really cool deal. I think the Packers have really needed some help for Aaron Rodgers. They just released Jordy Nelson, and it was very obvious that they were going to have to release Jordy Nelson or Randall Cobb. They couldn't keep both of them. So I think getting this tight end and Jimmy Graham, cheap because he isn't that good of a player, really helps the team. I mean, maybe I should say he's not that good of a player, but he hasn't had that good of seasons recently. He used to be an amazing player when he was with Drew Brees and the Saints, but recently he just hasn't been doing very good at all in the last couple years. In the last year, I think with the Saints, I think he was pretty slow, and his production rather is really slow. And in the 2 or 3 years, whatever it's been since he's been with the Seahawks, he hasn't been doing very good at all. I think Aaron Rodgers could really reinvent him. I don't think the Seahawks was a good fit in general. I don't feel like their offense was suited to be that kind of high-flying, high-scoring offense that I feel like Jimmy Graham thrives in, and that's what the Packers are. And they definitely use some help there. An definite upgrade. It sucks to see Jordy Nelson be released because he's a really good player, but he's getting on in years, and they just don't have the money to keep paying a guy that I just don't think he's worth it. A deal that I think a signing that flew really under the radar was Jonathan Stewart to the Giants. I don't think this deal is that important, but I do think it should be talked about just because I think it just shows the mindset of the New York Giants right now. They don't want to pay Odell the money, well, at least the money he wants, or they're not giving him a long deal right now, and they'll probably just tag him again when his contract's up. I can't remember if he's in the last year of his deal, last year of his rookie deal, or if he's going to be a free agent. I think he's the last year of his deal. So I think just adding John Stewart, the running back the Panthers released, to the Giants just shows the kind of mindset that they're in. They clearly just want to keep going with veterans or just signing free agents and are almost refusing to stock up draft picks and trade their players and to start rebuilding their team to work around their young talent in OBJ. It's really tough to see a team that is in such disarray. I mean, as much as I'm an Eagles fan, so obviously I don't want anyone else in the NFC East to be good. I just want the Eagles to be amazing. But I'm also a fan of football in general, and I think a move like that is reminiscent of the Frank Gore move to the Colts. And we all know how that turned out. So Sam Bradford on a 1-year deal to Arizona. I think this is a good move to Arizona for the Cardinals and for Sam Bradford. But $20 million for a 1-year deal? Sam Bradford cannot command $20 million, in my opinion. And I get that it's only a 1-year prove-it deal, But I think Sam Bradford was only going to the Jets or to the Cardinals. I don't think there is a world where Sam Bradford's going anywhere else, or where there's anyone else that wants him, or that'll pay more than the Jets or the Cardinals. So, and we'll talk about the Jets' moves later as they're getting Teddy Bridgewater. But I really feel like the Arizona had the upper hand here. So I think 20 million is too much. But 1 year, whatever. I guess Arizona has a lot of cap room. I assume. So, sure. Sam Bradford's decent to try out there. They're going to give him a year, see how it looks. Personally, I don't think it'll work out very well. Sam Bradford gets injured too much. Like I said, I'm an Eagles fan, so he was on the Eagles for a little while. Between just injuries on the Eagles, before the Eagles, he played for the Rams, I believe. Injuries on the Rams. After the Eagles, he played with the Vikings, as you guys should know, and he played 2 games. He got injured again. Arizona's offensive line isn't much. Wouldn't be surprised if he got injured again. And even if he doesn't, I think Sam is a good quarterback with the right pieces. I think there's something to be said about quarterbacks who are amazing with the right pieces around them. You take away those pieces, they aren't so good. But not many quarterbacks could be that good, even with those great players. I think with a good team, Sam Bradford plays good. I think with a bad team, he'll play bad. I don't think the Arizona Cardinals are a good team. All right, so Kirk Cousins, 3-year deal, $27.5 million to the Vikings. His deal, I think it was 80-something, 84 million maybe, guaranteed. I don't believe this is finalized yet. This is just probably. This is a 80, 90% chance this is going to happen. This is probably going to happen. They're just working out the details from this time right now. I believe that's the story. So I think if I'm the Minnesota Vikings, this is who I want. There is no other quarterback in the National Football League right now that is available with reason that I'd rather have on my team than Kirk Cousins. So I think I've heard some people making arguments that Kirk Cousins is being overpaid. And yeah, you're probably right. 84 million guaranteed, 27.5 million a year. Kirk Cousins wasn't playing at an elite top 10 quarterback level. If you look at the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL, he wasn't there these past couple years. He looks like he could be there and was playing with a god-awful fucking garbage Redskins team. And I know because we pummel them every year in the NFC East. And in general, their team just isn't built at all. But that's a topic for a different episode. But in general, I don't think the Redskins were a good team at all. So I can understand, and he played pretty decent in that team. Played good and really good at times. So it's tough to say because there's no other spot, no other quarterback I think that the Vikings would want, and there's no other place if I'm Kirk Cousins I'd rather go. But it doesn't change the fact they got a lot of money. Now, it is only a 3-year deal, so I guess, he got a lot of money, but only 3-year deal, so it's here and there, there's good and there's bad. You take what you can get. So whatever, I think it's a good deal, and I think the Vikings are going to be good. I don't think they'll win a Super Bowl with him, because I just haven't seen that kind of, that potential out of, I've seen the potential, I haven't seen that kind of skill so far. I haven't seen him do it. I need to see him do it. I need to see him get into the playoffs and win. I need to see him out battle, Tom Brady in Foxborough. I need to see something. I need to see something like that, or at least a decent amount of it before I can really believe in Kirk Cousins. But he has an amazing team, so I'm not surprised if the Vikings are in the NFC Championship game again. All right, so here's an interesting one. Danny Amendola to the Dolphins on a 2-year, $12 million deal with half of that guaranteed. I am surprised Danny Amendola took this deal. Because you got to think, Tom Brady just won the MVP award. You're keeping most of your team back, besides Malcolm Butler. And you just went to the Super Bowl and nearly beat us. Danny Amendola has been with the Patriots for a very long time. It's not like he was just one of those players that Bill Belichick picks up and has for a year or two and then gets rid of. He's been there for a couple, 4, 5, 6, whatever years now. I'm very surprised he left. And maybe if he left on a 5-year, $60, $50 million deal, okay. But 2 years, $12 million? I think this is about the money that Danny Amendola can command. A $12 million deal, six guaranteed. Okay, maybe on the bottom, maybe he commanded a little bit more than that, but only 2 fucking years. I mean, the Patriots must have wanted him out the door. That's the only other option I see because I think Danny Amendola was good, and I think he's getting a little bit underpaid, and I think he could really get more from somewhere else. So I'm very surprised he even wanted to move to the Dolphins. But all right. So Case Keenum going to the Broncos. Now this is another move like the Kirk Cousins move that isn't 100% guaranteed, but seems like it's likely to happen. I think this is decent. I think the Broncos want to be in the win now mode, but the win now mode was the Peyton Manning. And you know what they did? They won. Then. It's done. Broncos need to be in the rebuild mode, in my opinion. They got Von Miller. They have like a really good defense. They have a really good defense that was awful last year, but has the potential to be very good. So they have some really good pieces on that defense. Especially like Chris Harris Jr., and then Von Miller, like I said, and just their defensive linemen. They have a lot of pieces, but I don't think they have much on their offensive line at all. In terms of wide receivers, it's Demaryius Thomas, right? And I don't remember if they still have Emmanuel Sanders or not, but I believe Demaryius Thomas is still there. And they got rid of Julius Thomas. I believe he went to the Dolphins a while ago, and I don't know where the hell he is now. But so just Demaryius Thomas, all right, but no offense. The running back, from what I remember, isn't very good. I forget his name. I'll think of it later. But he's not that good. Overall, I think their team has pieces to be like an 8-8 team. Nothing much. You're just 8-8. Whatever. You got an 8-win team. I would say. An 8-win team. I think that's fair. I can't see the Broncos making the playoffs and Case Keenum being what turns them over. Makes them better, I should say. I think Case Keenum is a veteran that if the Broncos then try to get a quarterback in the draft or get a young quarterback, wherever, be it via the draft or trade, whatever free agency, that could be good. Case Keenum can maybe keep the Broncos semi-afloat for a year or two as they integrate this new quarterback. Sure. But from all accounts, they seem like they're in win now mode, or they're trying to. They're trying to get their defense and all these guys. I feel like they should just rebuild and use Case Keenum as just another guy, like a veteran, to kind of teach their upcoming quarterback. But we'll see how that turns out. Drew Brees on a very expected deal, a 2-year, $50 million to the Saints. Saints fans, held their breath for a minute. If he was gone, that's it. If Drew Brees left the New Orleans Saints, they're probably not making the playoffs. They have a lot of good players, but there's no one like Drew Brees in the NFL, and Case Keenum or Teddy Bridgewater can't just walk in and do what he does. But 2 years, I think this is a really good deal. A low amount of years, but let's be honest, he's probably retiring after this 2-year deal. $50 million, so it's not like he's getting really short out of money, I don't think. I think this is pretty good. If you split it up, $25 million a year. I'm not sure what he's making a year, if it's weighted one side to the other, but I think that's pretty good. If I'm Drew Brees, I'm all right with that. Sammy Watkins to Kansas City. This is a really good move for Kansas City. But if I'm Sammy Watkins, I would never do this. So 3 years, $48 million. Kansas City just traded their fucking quarterback to the Redskins, Alex Smith. Alex Smith was not the issue in Kansas City. Not the issue in Kansas City at all. So Sammy Watkins is going to be catching passes from Patrick Mahomes or whatever his name is. I think it's Patrick something. Who's played one NFL game, 2 NFL games is the stat I heard. So unless they get a quarterback in free agency or in the draft, even if they do in the draft, everyone's too young. I think the Chiefs. the Chiefs need a quarterback to stay in contention, or they need to rebuild. And I feel like they're just trying to ride out the middle ground. And if you do that, you're just going to end up a middle team, and you're not going to be anywhere high, but you're not going to be low. Whatever. Sucks for Sammy Watkins, I guess. Enjoy that $48 million. Allen Robinson to the Bears. I think this is another thing like the other two quarterbacks I mentioned in Case Keenum and Kirk Cousins, where this deal isn't 100% finalized yet. But this is an interesting move. This is a move that I see the Bears starting to rise up, in part to Mitchell Trubisky, their new quarterback. I think that gives the Bears potential. Now, if I'm Allen Robinson, I'm getting hella money from this deal. If I'm going to the Bears, just because Allen Robinson will easily be the best pass catcher on their team. Certainly the best wide receiver. And I think the Bears really needed to do this. They needed this wide receiver, and this is a deal that is going to make them a better team. But the Bears aren't in win-now mode. So Allen Robinson going to this team means, hey, catch a lot of passes for us. We're going to lose for a couple of seasons to get some high picks, to put some supporting cast around Mitchell Trubisky. Because right now, it's their quarterback, and assuming Allen Robinson gets signed, and their wide receiver. And that's the Bears. Every other position is dog shit. Oh, no, yeah. I think their running back might be decent. I can't remember his fucking name, though. Josh Howard? Jordan Howard? Josh Howard? I forget. He might be, I forget. I forget how good he is, but I think he's a decent player at least. But other than that, their whole team's garbage. Shows in the record. The Miami Dolphins released Ndamukong Suh. So, this is an odd move because we'll talk about later the Dolphins also getting rid of Jarvis Landry in a trade, I believe that was, for Landry. Just very surprising. It seems like this team is moving towards a rebuilding phase. Jarvis Landry was one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. And Ndamukong Suh, I don't think he played amazing to warrant a $$20 million contract. Sure, but he was one of... I think he was a good player still. And I heard reports coming out that the Dolphins did not release Ndamukong Suh because of his play. It was strictly with how he fit to the team, or he must have been like an asshole or something. I'm not behind the scenes, so I wouldn't know. But assuming that was the case and it was just a personality conflict, I can't imagine being a Dolphins fan right now. It doesn't seem like you're going to get much from that team. I don't even know where the quarterback is right now. I thought it was Jay Cutler? But I think he might have been on a one-year deal. I think he might have came back and played. Yeah, so I don't know what the hell they're doing out right now with quarterback. They just lost Jarvis Landry. They just let go of Ndamukong Suh. Dolphins are in rebuilding mode. Sherman to the 49ers. Now we're getting to some older deals, but I'm just kind of covering all the big deals that happened in the past couple weeks. So Michael Bennett to not Michael Bennett. I'll talk about that in a second. Sherman to the 49ers. This is exciting. I think this is a good move. It's exciting, obviously, because they're in the same division. If I'm Richard Sherman, though, I get how he's competitive. But you got to look at the LA Rams and the moves that they've made. And you got to think, I don't know if I want to be in a division with those guys. But so be it. He wants his ticket to his old team. Go for it. So Richard Sherman picking off passes from Russell Wilson, apparently. The 49ers, I think, is a good fit. The 49ers needed a corner desperately, and a defense in general. So I'm glad they got a really great corner, but the only issue is I feel like they should be trying to go as a younger team. They have their Jimmy G, he's a young 20 whatever year old player. He's a younger quarterback. They should really try to build around young talent to rise up with Jimmy G himself. Sherman only has a couple more years in the league. They did sign him to, I believe, a 3-year, maybe $39 million. Don't quote me on the numbers there, but less than sub $40 million deal, and that isn't too much. That's pretty low to get a player of Richard Sherman's caliber because he was injured this past season. So that's a good move, and I guess as the 49ers, you can't not take Sherman like that, especially when your team has so many holes on it. But I think Sherman is not going to win with this team. but it should be interesting to see how the team works. I think the 49ers have a lot of potential. I think they're a couple of years off, and I think when they start to blossom, it's going to be right when Sherman's retiring, unfortunately for him. But the Niners are definitely going to get good use of him. So, all right, Michael Bennett to the Eagles. Gave the sneak peek of this one a little bit too early, but so be it. So, I think this is a cool move. Michael Bennett is known to have a bit of a personality, and as an Eagles fan, it's exciting to see the team make different moves and different changes. It looks like we're going to get rid of Vinny Curry as a result of this move. I think Michael Bennett has one more year left on his deal, so it's decent for us as the Eagles, so we can get to gauge how good he is and how much he's worth after this year. So we don't have to sign him to a huge monster deal before we know how good he is, like some of these other people are doing with Kirk Cousins, whatever, Malcolm Butler, the 5-year deal, $61 million I mentioned earlier. Michael Bennett is in the last year of his deal. Then after this year, if he's garbage, don't sign him. That's it. If he's good, sign him. Okay. So I think it makes all the cards in the Eagles' favor. All right. So this is an amazing deal in my opinion. Probably one of the best deals in this entire offseason so far. Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters to the LA Rams. They got rid of their corner. What was his name? Beginning with like a J. I want to say. I can't remember. Whatever. Corner. He's gone. Rams had a very good corner on their team. He's out, and they got Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters instead. So Marcus Peters, one of the best young corners in the NFL right now, and formerly of the Kansas City Chiefs. He had personality issues there. Andy Reid didn't like him, so he's gone. Sucks for the Chiefs because the Rams are getting an amazing young corner. Aqib Talib, a veteran corner, someone that if anyone can keep Marcus Peters in check, it's Aqib Talib. So I think this guy's going to work out really well and with Marcus Peters and the Rams, and I think this puts the Rams in as the Super Bowl favorites. In my opinion, these deals are going to put the Rams over the top. They already had an amazing offense, and I thought a very good defense, but now an even better defense. All right. Now the Browns. We're going to talk about some Browns moves. So the crazy moves at the Browns, finally. Some moves that aren't awful. Jarvis Landry on that trade from the Dolphins to the Browns. A very young, like I said already in this episode, a very young wide receiver and an amazing player. And I think this fits perfectly with the Browns. Now, surprisingly, they also traded for Tyrod Taylor off the Bills. This is interesting because I really thought they were going to go young and try to draft a quarterback. They might still do that, but use Tyrod Taylor in the way that they have a veteran. I don't think Tyrod Taylor's as a veteran right now. I think he's still young. He's late 20s, maybe early 30s, something like that. I'm pretty sure he's like 28, 27, 29, something like that. So I do think Tyrod Taylor keeps the Browns fresh while also allowing them to draft a young quarterback and not make him start instantly off the bat and learn under someone who is not a bad quarterback but a good one and has some playoff experience. So, I mean, I like it. I like the move. Like it. Now, this also paired with Josh Gordon coming back to the Browns makes this spicy because now Josh Gordon off his suspension, or I forget, he had a bunch of substance abuse issues. At one point, he was just not playing in the NFL for a couple years. I believe now he's back. I don't know if he retired, then came back, or if he just came back because this was the first time he was able, or I don't know what was going on with him. But now he's back, and he's on the Browns, and he was a very good wide receiver prior to this. So if he can clean up his act, Josh Gordon, Jarvis Landry, Tyrod Taylor, now this offense is starting to look looking good here. It's all about, I think, Joe Thomas, who is the left tackle, a very good left tackle, Pro Bowl left tackle for the Browns, if he decides to retire or stay. I think if he stays, this Browns offense is going to get more than 0 wins. All right, and then we'll close the episode with this last move here. Very simple move that I just don't see anyone talking about, but I think is a pretty good move. Another one under the radar. The Mike Evans 5-year, $82 million deal with the Buccaneers. So it's nice to see. They got Jameis Winston developing still. I don't think Jameis Winston will turn out to be some amazing quarterback. I think Jameis Winston's ceiling is Donovan McNabb-esque. Not a Hall of Famer by any means, but a very good quarterback and potentially can really take a leap and be a good quarterback, a very good quarterback in the NFL, but not the best quarterback in the NFL. But I do think the Bucs lock up a young receiver to keep on their team for his prime. This 5-year deal is going to really carry him through his prime. If I'm Mike Evans, I don't know if I make that deal. Yeah, I think there's better spots than the Bucs, but they drafted him, so if he believes if the team's going to progress, so be it. Yeah, so that's going to conclude our episode of Jet Talk. Like I said, the title's a work in progress. So, thank you all for watching. If you have anything you want me to talk about specifically, any topics, whether it's related to Counter-Strike, esports in general, I love the NFL, so NFL, whatever, hit me up in the comments, and I'll be sure to, think about that and maybe make a video on that kind of stuff. Other than these kind of podcast-style videos I make tons of gaming videos on different games like FPS games like PUBG, Rainbow Six, Counter-Strike primarily, Overwatch, etc. So stay tuned for those. Alright, thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next video.